More on this, we have retired U.S. Army Brigadier General Mark Kimmitt. General Kimmitt, great to have you back.
Sure.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle seem to be echoing the buzzword measured response. What does a measured response look like with the current tense climate between the U.S. and Iran?
Yeah, I think what they're saying is that any response must be proportional and must be restrained. I think what they're worried about is that we don't go in full cowboy, that we use this as a pretext for regime change or large bombing campaign. But if this country must act, it ought to be proportional, it should be restrained.
Up until this point, it looks like most of the decisions when it comes to Iran is being made by the U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton, the Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and of course the U.S. President. How much should Congress be involved?
Well, Congress certainly has a role. Under the War Powers Act of 1973, the President must respond to Congress after 60 days of an armed conflict. But there is an attempt, it would seem, by the U.S. Congress to pull that time back so that they are actually part of the decision process from day one. I think the Supreme Court would reject that notion, certainly understanding that the President must have the authority to act as quickly as possible, as needful as possible, but with eventually going back to the U.S. Congress after 60 days.
So how does the President make a decision here while navigating all of these different views?
Well, that's what being the President is all about. He has to listen to his cabinet secretaries, he has to listen to the United States Congress, he has to listen to the people, but most importantly, he has to listen to himself. As the old sign on Harry Truman's desk said, the buck stops here. That's what's going to happen with this president. He will have to make the decision after he's listened to everybody.
That being said, if you had 15 minutes with the president right now, what would you advise him to do?
I would advise him to continue the policy that he has started out. He has said from the beginning of this campaign, let's get out of these dumb wars in the Middle East. I think he has lived up to that commitment to start withdrawing troops where necessary, keeping troops in where necessary. There will be many that try to advise you, Mr. President, that after 40 years we must do something about Iran, and now is the time. I think that's the time for him to listen to his own gut and say, if we're going to do something, let's not rush into it, let's not do it alone, let's do it with allies. Because at the end of the day, we don't have to do it today because Iran will be there tomorrow, and we can always do something tomorrow or the next day.
You know as well, though, General Kimmitt, that in these types of scenarios, there is going to be some sort of a response, a message that is sent to Iran. What do you think it might be in this case? Well,
I think he has already sent that message. He has said on national TV that this may have been a mistake, but it was a very dumb thing that they did. I think he, in his perhaps inarticulate way, has said, or inartful way, don't do this again. If you do it again, there will be consequences. And I think even more important, the subliminal message there is, if you do this to American citizens and American soldiers, we will definitely take action.
All right, General Kimmitt, great to have you back.
Sure.